We wanted to sit down while the experience was fresh to talk about today's events. And what did we do today?
Well, today we walked a marathon in a blizzard.
That's right. So, I don't know, is my face as red as it was before?
No,
Oh,
it's calmed
okay.
down. Are my eyes as tired as they feel?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit beat up, as one might expect, but in a way, it's like we did 161 marathon walks to prepare for today's marathon.
Yeah, Mike did say that to me at some point, I think in between my second and third time crying within the first 3 hours.
Right.
And that was encouraging for a little while.
Well, why don't we go through the emotional beats of your journey?
Okay.
Tell us how you felt.
Sure. Okay. So, well, let's just start from the very beginning. We got up. We were prepping to go on this walk today. I was feeling a little bit stressed about work stuff, but I figured, well, we'll be in a blizzard and I'll forget about that. I'll just melt away.
That's right.
And
Jesse got home at 2 in the morning.
I did. Oh, that's right. I got home at 2 in the morning from working really hard because I am getting close to some deadlines. And between COVID and the blizzard and just general sort of cram time, just a few extra things fell on my plate over the weekend. So I was trying to rush and get those done, and the rushing part didn't quite happen, and I got home at 2. So yeah, I guess I had only 5 hours of sleep for the first time, though, to be clear, that used to be a typical thing for me to only get about 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night. And I have been getting 8.5 hours of sleep every night
Right.
since we've started this.
Sure.
So it was a real exception. And I was tired this morning and I was thinking about work stuff. And then, we were going to do this blizzard walk and I was ready for it. I put on 3 pairs of long underwear, my snow pants,
Yeah.
a pair of long underwear on top, 2 sweatshirts, and then I went back and I added a thermal under one of the sweatshirts, the big puffy jacket. We debated about rain clothes. We decided not to wear rain clothes. And yeah, when we first started walking, I felt pretty excited and like we were going on an adventure, which we were. And I think I cried the first time, maybe an hour in, which is right. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
When the wind really started picking up. And I started, at first I was getting wind and ice kind of in my eyes. And I was like, this is fine, feeling awake. We can handle this. But then it just kept happening.
Yeah.
And I thought, I still have 9 hours of wind and ice in my eyes, and is it gonna take my eyes out? Am I gonna have to go to the eye doctor? I really don't like going to the doctor. Am I gonna have to go to the eye doctor after this? Am I gonna hurt myself?
Right.
Those were my thoughts.
Yeah.
Also just I don't want to was really also my thought.
Right. I wasn't really aware that all these thoughts were happening. I was slightly walking ahead.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, Jesse screamed.
Oh, right.
And then spun in a circle.
Yeah.
It was
I
really
kind of forgot about that.
really unsettling. Because I thought we were having a good time.
Yeah. That's the thing. We were having a good time. I was not having a good time in my head,
Right.
separately, physically.
Right.
But we were having a nice conversation. We were perfectly pleasant.
And then a psychotic break happened very briefly.
Just a quick little gotta get it out. And then I think I had a granola bar.
Sure.
And that helped for a little while. And then maybe an hour later, I was crying again.
Yeah.
Because I think we went through some really unplowed areas.
Yeah.
For way longer than I wanted to be doing that. And there was the ice wind coming straight towards us.
Yeah.
Strong. And and we had to trample through, when you're each step you're sinking in. And then the snow was coming above my boots and I was like, oh fuck, we're just a couple hours in, and like the snow is already getting in my boots and my feet are gonna freeze. Like, what if my ankles freeze and then I can't walk anymore? And like, what if I have to get my foot amputated? And I was just like, this isn't worth it. So that's when I started crying again. And then I didn't scream that time. I
No,
held it
there was no
together a little
screaming,
bit
just
better.
crying.
Yeah, I think just a little. You were also like pretty far ahead of me, so I had like plenty of time to just cry before you noticed.
Where was this? Was this in Jamaica?
Yeah, it was in Jamaica.
Yeah. Just to be clear for future audiences and people that are not in New York City, we're talking 18 inches of snow, 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts,
Yeah.
and consistently 30 mile an hour winds.
Yeah. And also the snow was ice coming from the sky. The snow, when it landed on the ground, it was snow. It was actually really nice, like crunchy, crinkly snow.
Yeah.
But as it was coming out of the air, it was ice.
When it was blowy, it was, hard on the face.
Yeah.
Which is why you got...
Goggles.
That's right.
Yeah, so I do have ski and snowboarding goggles, and I have joked about wearing them in the winter, never thinking that I'd actually need them. And today would have been a day to try them out. Because I didn't bring them along, we went into a Dwayne Reed. I thought, actually one of those face shields that people wear because of COVID would have been so helpful because of the ice winds. So Mike spotted a Dwayne Reed and we went in, and we couldn't find a face shield, but we found these medical goggles,
Yeah.
which I think probably when they don't get wet, they work really well. But once they get wet, it's like, it feels like what I imagine it feels like to not have good eyesight.
Well, they
Like
changed
to have
colors too.
significantly not good eyesight.
I don't know why, but they were clear previously.
Yeah, I'm
and
realizing
now they're
now I think
green.
they have a film on them.
Yeah, maybe that's part of why.
Oh my gosh, maybe that's part of why they didn't.
Or maybe that's they're
why I
protective.
couldn't see.
Who knows?
Yeah, either way. It was so helpful though to have these goggles when the ice winds picked up.
Sure.
Yeah, they were great.
I just walk through them.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that without the gogs.
Just
Didn't your
move
eyes
forward.
hurt today?
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
It was just kind of part of it. I didn't want to wear something that was going to fog up. That would be more bothersome to me than the pain of the shards.
Yeah, it's not even really that they fogged up. It's more that you just couldn't see. It's like they just got wet, and then it wasn't, I don't know if it was fog or not, but it was just like wet and then like smeary. Like at some points I was like, oh, this must be what it feels like to not have eyesight. And then at other points I was like, oh, must be what it feels like to be very, very drunk in a blizzard. Yeah, because there were a number of times that I thought I was just walking on like flat snow, and then all of a sudden my foot would just sink.
Yeah.
But I still think that the goggles were helpful because I didn't keep them on all day. It was just like in the moments when we were walking straight into the ice wind.
Yeah.
Is when I put on the goggles, and I could even like kind of just hold them over the top part of my eyes.
Yeah.
And then keep my head down, and like I could see, kind of like wearing bifocals or something. Just created my own little bifocals.
Yeah.
But I did cry a third time when post acquiring the goggles. I think it was when we were on that long road in Hollis, which started out, there was a road in Hollis, Queens that started out really nice.
99th Avenue.
Yeah. And it started out really nice. I think it was the first road that today we walked on the street instead of on the sidewalk, because the sidewalks were not cleared at all. The street was fairly cleared, and there were just no cars coming.
Yeah.
So we were walking on the street, and then I think the road just was really long, and about halfway through the road, the ice winds picked up again, so I had to put on my goggles. And the streets were only like semi-cleared, so it was hard. It was just like trudging through, and I was tired, and a couple cars came and I tried to step out of the way and then just like, because I didn't see there was a snowbank because of these goggles, I just like tripped over, and then would take off. I mean, it's like I was safe. I could like take off the goggles right away and then see clearly. Uh, but it was just frustrating. I was just tired. And I was like, I think there's something about in general on the walks. We were like almost at the halfway point. And I think once you hit the halfway point, you're like, oh, okay, I just have to do this one more time. But when you're on your way to the halfway point, it's like, we're not even halfway. Like, it's a crazy mindset. And I could adapt that and think, like, once I do 1 mile, I only have to do it 25 more times. But yeah, I think the way my brain works with these things, especially on the days that are hard weather-wise, leading up to that halfway point is harder.
Yeah. So then we got some food at a deli.
We did?
Yeah.
Well, I got a
And I got you,
Gatorade.
or a Gatorade, and we got you some napkins so you could
Oh, yeah.
blow
So
your
the
nose and clear off your goggles.
Yeah.
We
And I
didn't,
had a lot of snacks and I brought 3 granola bars today.
yeah. One might be surprised how little we ate, though. I mean,
Yeah.
we just had a big dinner and then are sitting down to record this now.
Yeah.
But I had to eat a piece of blueberry bread that was maybe the size of 2 decks of playing cards stacked on top of each other. And then I had 6 peanut butter crackers from like one of those dollar bags. And then I had a cinnamon brown sugar Pop Tarts, 2 of them. And then that was it.
Is that all you ate all day?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
not
then
a lot.
nothing to drink.
Oh.
We didn't have water until we got
I didn't
home.
offer you my Gatorade.
You did. I declined.
Oh. It got so cold. I drank it throughout the day, and it was the ice blue one, and it got so by the end of the day it was so cold. Which I liked. It was nice.
Yeah.
I had a bowl of cereal before we left with some sugar on top. I had a coffee. I had some orange juice. I had the 3 granola bars that I brought along, one of which was the apple pie Lara bar, and it was so yummy. I also had 2 cheese sticks and the Gatorade. We've talked about that. Maybe that was it. I feel like there was one more thing. Oh yeah, I brought 3 granola bars and then I also bought 1 granola bar.
Yeah.
But that's still not a lot of food. We also didn't sit down at all.
No, you can't. I mean,
Or really
where?
stop. There was
There's no-
one time that I thought about asking you if we could sit down in the bus stop.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were walking by, there was a school and there were 2 people cleaning the sidewalk right
Okay.
near the bus stop? And I thought to myself, that's so nice that those people are clearing the sidewalk around the bus stop because they weren't dressed in like city uniform. Like it just looked like people that maybe lived in the neighborhood
Yeah.
and wanted the bus stop to be clear.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be a good spot to sit, but then I would have felt weird sitting there while those people were
Yeah.
clearing the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I also felt like we should just keep going.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we typically don't stop on the marathon walks anyway, or like we don't need to stop.
Yeah.
And so that was just kind of part of the game plan at this point.
Yeah, I guess we didn't need to stop, so we didn't.
Yeah. And then it ended up we left at 9:45, we got back at 8:15. It was more physically exerting. The pedometer said 28.2 miles. We got to a block away from our house and it said 26.9 miles. And the day before, I had walked a little bit more and it was not that distance when I checked it. So I was skeptical that the pedometer was accurate.
Yeah.
So we completely retraced the route, which is to say we went like a mile past our house and then back to make sure that we would have walked the full marathon regardless of whether or not the pedometer was right.
Yeah.
So,
Which the pedometer tracks based on length like it's not a GPS thing. It's based on, it's like a one that you hook onto your pants and it tracks the movement.
It's stride
So
length, but it also says that it's optional to input stride length. So it's always kind of a little
it's a
mystifying.
little
It's
confusing how it
possible
works.
there was a couple of deviations that made it longer along the route. So it's possible, but not likely that that was what it was. So rather actually feel confident and possibly go over than not. So
Yeah. Yeah. We wanted, I mean, we had basically done it and we knew that we could not collapse by walking up the street and back.
yeah,
So, yeah, might
but
as well just make sure that we did the full
I
marathon.
think it was 8:15. So 9:45 to 8:15,
10 and a half,
10 and a half hours,
I think.
which is slower, but for obvious reasons. I mean, most of
Wait,
this
10 and a half or 11 and a half? 10 and a half. I'm
10
sorry
and
to
a
cut
half.
you off.
Most of actually a surprisingly low amount of sidewalk space was cleared, to be honest. I think a lot of people were just like, it's a blizzard. I'm not going to go into work. I'm not going to do anything,
Yeah.
period.
I think at the beginning of the day, there was more sidewalk available.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, as it snowed the entire day, uh, less and less.
Yeah.
And also, there were just not very many cars on the road. Like in the morning, there were closer to the normal amount of cars on the road, or at least maybe I wasn't even paying attention because we were on the sidewalk. But definitely by the end of the day, we were just walking in the middle of the street,
Yeah.
and like there was no one.
Yeah. We were trying to avoid the bigger roads, go one block over and then walk on the side roads.
Yeah,
And that worked out pretty well.
yeah,
Honestly, most of the cars we saw at that point, I'd say 40% were in some various sense of distress.
yeah.
And we tried to help on two separate occasions. The
We
first,
failed both times.
the first occasion, the car was just straight up on a hill of snow. And it wasn't really apparent until we started pushing that it was like, oh, we are making no difference.
Yeah. It was like after we walked away, we could see that the front wheels weren't even touching the ground.
Yeah.
So it wasn't,
Yeah.
that wasn't going anywhere. But the first time was also like in someone's driveway and they were clearly working on trying to get it out. And I just was watching them. And then there was like an older man and he sort of was like, push and like called us over. So
Yeah.
we tried. And then like we tried for, I don't know, one try and it wasn't going to move. And we were all just kind of like, all right, good luck, bye.
Yeah. But of course, anybody that lives in a cold climate knows that there is a real sense of satisfaction getting a car out of snow. So we were as much seeking this
I
experience
was
out.
really looking towards this because, yeah, it feels so good. You feel so strong. And usually, it's weird because usually I feel like it's so easy to push a car out of snow because usually I guess it was just so much snow today, maybe.
I don't know.
I feel like usually it's like it has some traction, it just needs that little oomph, and then you like barely have to touch it and it goes and you feel so strong.
Yeah. The second time, there was a guy that we saw him get caught in one half of the intersection, and we're going to help him there. But then he drove to the other half of the intersection and get caught. So then we walked over and like signaled at him. And, it was like a bad date. We didn't really have the chemistry.
Yeah.
I think he wanted our help, but he also was unwilling to communicate.
He
Uh,
like, we were like, oh, do you want a hand pushing it? And he was like, yeah, thank you. But then like backed up and we were like, well, we're about to stand behind your car. Like, you can't back up. Like, we're going to help you push. But we were like, okay, maybe that's helping. And then he like went forward, but then we started pushing and it didn't seem like he was accelerating. Like, it seemed like he had stopped accelerating once we started pushing. But then like only accelerated when we weren't touching the back of the car. Like, I don't know if he didn't understand how this works or if it was just not
Yeah.
communication or
We needed to coordinate, and every time the car was ready to be pushed, he would hit the gas without saying anything. And then when we were trying to, like, okay, well, I guess it's time to push, he would start going in reverse. And we'd be like, no, we were going to get hit by
Yeah.
the car.
We weren't getting hit by the car. We didn't get hit by the car.
Well, no, because
But
we weren't.
we saw the reverse lights go on and moved
Yeah,
away.
but what should have
Yeah.
happened is we should have all pushed at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were like and then he got out and he had an ice scraper and he was scraping under each wheel and then he got back in again and we did the dance for a little bit and then ultimately we were like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And then there was like in the same part of the intersection where he had gotten caught and freed himself earlier, there was then traffic piling up and they were beeping their horns.
Yeah, and then the two cars finally just like, they could just turn. And so the one car turned and then the second car turned, who was the one that was beeping, and rolled down his window. And I think he yelled, dude, get a big boy truck or something.
Yeah, he did. He was from Minnesota, according to his license plate.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so he knows about snow.
He knows about big boy trucks.
Minnesota
Yeah.
is what I called it once when I was there and it snowed. Yeah, so yeah, 2 unsuccessful attempts to push people out. I sort of like, it's unfortunate. It's fine. But I sort of had this idea of like, we're going around town, we're going to like, all day long, we're just going to be like, boop, boop, just like pushing people. In every neighborhood, we'll have pushed a car out of distress.
No.
Didn't happen. We also saw 2 cars that were out of control. We saw 1 small car and then 1 Jeep that were both swervy.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep.
was fun. No, they were fine. And then the other thing is we heard a fire truck. We heard the second fire truck of the day, and I said to Mike, what do you think a fire truck is needed for on a day with a blizzard? Do a lot of fires happen on blizzard days, or are they going to deal with trees, or like, what do you think this is about? And then we noticed that it had stopped just 2 blocks ahead. So we were like, well, we're going to find out what the fire truck is needed for. And the fire truck had been racing to get to an ambulance that was stuck, like not an ambulance that's in the boxy truck, but an ambulance that's in like the Sprinter car van.
Mm-hmm.
And all the firefighters had gotten out of the fire truck and they were pushing the ambulance out of the snow. And they did it. But there were also like 8 or 10 firefighters.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I'm feeling competitive with them, but I should realize. But they just looked so happy. Like, they did it, and then they were like laughing and like kind of like dancing around and like waving to the ambulance, and then the ambulance got stuck again, so they like got to do it again. So that was fun. That was fun to watch them enjoy that time.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about today?
No.
Okay.
I think those are the highlights.
Those are the
Are
highlights.
we missing anything? Oh, well, we were warm. Did we say that? Did we say that? I was very warm. I had to keep taking my gloves off because I was, in fact, too warm.
Yeah, I was very comfortable. We were both very wet, but comfortable. My feet, for whatever reason, well, I know what reason, because we were in 18 inches of snow, they were like water shoes. Even though I'm very happy with the boots,
Yeah.
it was just a little too much.
Probably from going in the deep snow
Yeah.
too many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. My feet were actually fine. They were like, you could tell that they had gotten wet. Like when I took my shoes off, like my socks were a little damp. But when I was actually wearing the shoes, I didn't feel like I had wet feet.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah,
Yeah, I think that's all I want to say about the snowy day
Yeah.
on the snowy day. We
Yeah.
can talk more about it later. We're going to continue. I don't know. This is either at the end or the beginning of the podcast. And we will also be talking about the racetracks
that's right.
at the end of the week.
That's right. We have 3 more days to go of this, so it's still going to be pretty difficult walking. I took a bunch of footage of the walking today. If that's something that you're interested in seeing, tune in next Tuesday when this podcast goes live. We're going to put this out as a separate video for people so that they can know right away. But if you're excited and interested about what it looked like, stay tuned for the full episode.
Yeah.
But until then, Enjoy the other content we got out. We got today or tomorrow, whatever day this is. We just did a podcast on the native roads, and you should check that out too. We talk about cold weather on that one.
We
Yeah.
did, because it was cold. It wasn't snowy, but it was cold
Yep,
and blowy.
that's right. But take care for now.
Bye.
Bye.